when I wrote the book Red Teaming, which I started writing back in 2015, published in 2017, and when I first started teaching people about this, I didn't feel the need to spend a lot of time talking about the difference between facts and assumptions. And yet, sadly, today it becomes a major issue. But I think that highlights in my mind why this approach is so necessary today, is because it really is, as we talk about in the course, and Rajmir mentioned how some of these tools and techniques align with things that she's already learned and is already using as a coach. As I talk about in the course, this goes back to Socrates, and the Socratic method and getting at truth by asking why and that sort of thing. But we have somehow, particularly in recent years, kind of forgotten about critical thinking. And I would submit that this is true both in business and government and in our personal lives, is that too many of us have outsourced thinking to others. We let other people think for us, whether they're our chosen news network or our chosen, radio station, or a big consulting firm, like McKinsey or Deloitte that, we let make our business strategies. In both cases, though, what's happening is that we're not the ones who are thinking anymore. And so a lot of these tools, a lot of these techniques, as you know, are designed to help us, but also our clients, reclaim that role of thinker and think for themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful statement, Bryce, because it's not just the outsourcing of thinking that we've done. We've also been seduced by technology, which we're allowing to think on our behalf sometimes, which is good and bad. We're also becoming over-reliant on processes and all of these new ways of working. And we've got the data. These new ways of working aren't working. And all of these things that are missing the one human element piece. It's that single piece of the puzzle that seems to have been discarded over time, either by people just, as you say, outsourcing it or just denying they need to think anymore because the robot will do it for them or the process will do it for them. And I think this capability of coaches to almost coach culture, coach capability, coach clarity back into the organizations and enable people, as Mickey was saying, to start having that voice, to start speaking up and interacting once again, because that's what we do best. That's what we're doing now. We're all chatting, engaging, having good discourse and conversation. And I think that's exactly what you talk about is lacking in organization.
And I saw Rajmir nodding before. Rajmir, what do you think?
Well, you could tell I had something to inject here, didn't you, Bryce? I was going to add another piece in because I agree with what you and Marcus have said. But I also think one of the biggest challenges that leaders have today is that they are so stressed. They are so busy. There's so many demands on them. There's no time to stop and think and reflect. And so this combination of the Red Team tools with the coaching capacity, because if you think about the container of coaching, right, even in a 20 or a 30-minute session, it's a space in which a leader can slow down and reflect and reconnect to that type 2 thinking, think a little bit deeper, be challenged in a safe environment and then be able to bring that out into their organizations. So for me, there's something about the combination that's not easy to implement in practice, right? It takes a little bit of practice and play and development, but it's very powerful.
It is. And as you said, Rashmi, having that time out as an executive, as a leader, as a manager, with a coach to do what I love to say, to slow down, to speed up. Just taking that moment of mindfulness, doing, stop, breathe, think, and just taking however long, doesn't take many minutes or hours, but just having the opportunity to slow down, recalibrate, apply some of these tools and techniques, talk to someone else, have someone else as a sounding board, have someone else as a critical friend, which is often, I find, lacking at the executive level. They'll take a lot of criticism, but they don't actually have a critical friend where they can go and talk to openly, honestly, and get the required feedback and often open feedback. They don't have honest conversations with other people, and they often get told what they want to hear or what the person thinks they need to hear, which is a coach's role to not do that, but really help them see what's going on from a reality perspective.
I was just going to say it's very lonely at the top. And that's our role when we coach CEOs often, is to be their sounding board, to give them a reality check, and for them to have an impartial person that they can really talk through, hear the hard things or just talk through things.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just going to add as well, it's because I've been reflecting on this on the pilot, and one of the reflections is I wish I'd had these tools when I was working in organizations, because I and many of my clients are often the maverick voices, right? The people that are raising things that are difficult truths, that are difficult to hear. And so these tools can empower the maverick thinkers, the people that have really interesting ideas, not to raise them in a way that is not threatening to leadership, right? And therefore create more change.
And that's an important thing that you surfaced there, Rushmere, because this Red Team coaching program that we're launching this spring with coaching.com is actually just the first level of a year-long training program. And in the first two parts of it are devoted to Red Team coaching, but after that, building on that, we're going to be training people to use these same tools and techniques to train organizations, to train teams within organizations, to do exactly what you just talked about there, to protect your dissenters, as Daniel Kahneman advocates, and to enable those maverick thinkers, because I think we've all been that in organizations. That's what draws us to this. But to enable those maverick thinkers, and this is so important, to do that, to play that role in a constructive and collegial way, so that instead of just being the squeaky wheel who everyone writes off, or instead of frankly being an asshole who just is constantly bursting everyone's bubble, to offer those insights in a constructive and collegial way that people can hear and act on.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And Ellie and I joke about this all the time, even when we were in the military, where that is supposed to be an environment where you can speak up. You can't. It's like in most organizations, you have to be quite courageous to do so, and it can backfire. And I've joked previously where I said, I've done this many times, and I always continue to do so because it's the right thing to do. But previously, I have been given medals, I've been fired, I've been rewarded, I've been stabbed in the back, I've been given money. All depends on the recipient, I guess, of the information you're trying to convey. And like you, Rashmi, if I'd have had some of these tools previously in my career, then wow, the difference I could have made and been able to convey what I'm trying to say in a more receptive manner, I guess. And as we like to say, we can disagree agreeably and we can be professionally provocative, but it's always for the right reasons. And if people don't realize that's what you're trying to achieve, that can often backfire. So I think that's very powerful for the mavericks out there who are trying to engage with leaders as well and make a difference in their own organizations.